Sandy Jamieson here, and I'm faced with a 35-yard approach shot, and I've got to decide what shot to hit. Now this is really a judgment call, and today I'm going to help you make the right judgment. It's a judgment call like a lot of things we do in life, and let me give you an example. Let's say I was going to go and park my car down on the high street when it's busy. What am I going to do? Let's have a look. Okay, I'm driving down the shops, and I want to get a park out in front of my favourite shop, which involves parallel parking. But what happens next depends on what parks are available. If there's a park right out in front of the shop I want to go to, well, I can pull in there. But if a little ways away there's a few in a row, it might just be easier to pull in there. Let's have a look and see what happens. Well, it's pretty busy down here. No parks. Oh, there's one, but I want to go a little further up. Okay, there's a park just here, but a little ways up there's three in a row. You know what? I think I'm going to pull up in the three in a row. It's far easier. I might have to walk back a little bit, but that was an easy park. I took the easy option, didn't I? I could have parked in the single car park right in front of the shop I wanted to go to. However, I chose to drive up 40 or 50 yards and pull straight into one of three. And I think most of us do that. Now listen, I can park a car as well as anybody else. I've lived in some pretty busy towns, but when I've got the option, I take the margin call, the easy play. And the same thing happens when you've got a club selection here. Now, I could choose a lob wedge, I could choose, say, a 6-iron, or I could choose my putter. Now, we'll see the tour players all day long, they'll use their wedge of some description, be it a lob wedge or a 56 degree. But then you've got to remember, they spend 6 to 8 hours a week, every week, practicing those little wedge shots. Most of the pros change their wedges every 6 to 8 weeks because they wear the grooves out. Now, if you're a weekend golfer or a twice a week golfer and you're not spending very much time practicing, sure, sometimes we have to use that wedge shot when we need to go over something. But when we're faced with nothing in front, we've got choices, and I'm going to show you why those choices are more logical if we use a straighter face club. Okay, so here I've got a golf ball sitting just above the shaft of my club. Now the shaft here is going to simulate the ground, and being just off the ground, we're going to say there's a little bit of grass in between. However, if you had a bare lie and the ball's sitting dead flush on the ground, well, then it's going to amplify what we're talking about a little bit more. So you'll notice between the bottom side of the golf ball and the ground we have this void. It's like a V shape, albeit curved because of the ball. Now if I've got a very lofted club like my lob wedge here, notice when the club comes along, I have to fit the leading edge of the club perfectly in that void. There's almost no margin for error. So if I'm a little bit high, I've thinned it. If I'm back here, I've chunked it fat. So I have to fit this club perfectly in there in order to make a good strike in the middle of the club face, which is a few grooves up. So I have to get it perfectly in there. Bring along my putter, and because the face of the putter is almost vertical, notice now that the club has got a margin where the result is going to be pretty much the same. So I'm talking almost an inch here of margin. So if I hit it here, it's fine, here 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 it's fine. So that all works. Turn that around and pull out a mid-iron. So I'm going to change over and go to a 6-iron now. Notice that again I've got some margin. So not as much as the putter, but I've got maybe half an inch of margin. The shot's still going to be pretty good. Remember, with the lob wedge, I had no margin at all. Okay, so I'm going to play this shot, and I've made a judgment call. My judgment call is I'm going to use my 6-iron. The reason the 6-iron for me, well, I haven't been practicing that much lately, and the wedge, whilst I'm a good chance of pulling it off, I'm also a fair chance of hitting a pretty ordinary one. At least if I had an average one with the 6-iron, it's going to be reasonably close. Well, that's a pretty good shot. I'm pretty happy with that. I don't think I would have got closer with the wedge. Remember, the tour players practice a lot, so the wedge is their choice. If you're good with a wedge, yeah, you'll probably get it closer more often than not. But if you haven't been practicing, putting yourself under that pressure to get that margin just right may not be worth the risk.